So the second part of this video talking all about OCD stuff. I'll talk now about some questions that I get asked about working with OCD and different things that are involved with the OCD journey. What's one of the common questions? I don't have intrusive thoughts much at the moment. I just have chronic anxiety in the background. Well, that's because your brain is still registering that there's a fearful thing. Your brain is still aware of that there's something that you're scared of, right? The brain is still aware of that. So that's why the anxiety is in the background. It's like, say, for example, with this war situation that we're all aware of at the moment, that's on TV. Even though in your day you may not be anxious, I'm not anxious about it, but I'm aware in my mind that it's going on, and I'm aware in my mind that it's a concern. So to some level, it's there. Now, had I was struggling with bad OCD, that would probably be latched on as chronic fear. Oh my God, what if the nuclear war? Oh my God, what if I died? Da 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 da. And that'd probably be latched on to some level. Now, I might not be having intrusive thoughts all the time, but I've noticed that anxiety sort of gradually simmering away in the background most of the time whilst that situation is going on. People with OCD often waiting, most humans are waiting naturally, understandably, but like waiting for I need this all to be over. I need to know that there's been peace. I need to know there's no nuclear war. I need to know that. And they can feel very consumed by that because nuclear war is the ultimate uncertainty, plus because they know they can't go anywhere to escape it really. So then they become scared of oh my God, how can I not relax? How can anyone relax? And so on. Or you can have OCD from all angles with that of, am I doing enough? Am I caring enough? What other things fear of being bombed, fear of death, fear of losing loved ones, all variations of those things. And so we've got to be realistic. Everyone's going to be feeling that. They're going to be feeling that in Russia, the public, and they're going to be feeling that in Ukraine, the public. Obviously, with being attacked, pretty obvious they're going to be feeling that on a much higher level. And there's lots of people from Ukraine and from Russia that watch this channel, and I've spoken directly with them, particularly people in Ukraine, and how they feel, and it's very difficult. And some of them are holding up really well, as you saw with Alexander's video on being in Ukraine and his city being bombed. It's a pretty difficult time, but he's doing very well considering he was just doing so much better with his OCD. Imagine what he thinks. He thinks, bloody hell, I've just started recovering from OCD and now I've got this. How unfair is that? So we can life goes like that, and we really don't want it to go like this. But people have to roll with that uncertainty as well as acceptance. He's accepting his situation and difficulty. Remember, that's not agreement, so he doesn't like it, dislikes it, obviously, but he's accepting of the difficult scenario that he's currently in. So I think that's important to think about when we're talking about anxiety in general. Anxiety will simmer away in the background knowing that there's a threat somewhere. So it will do that, okay? It is going to naturally do that. And we've got to... What we've got to do is we have to give ourselves time, like Claire Weeks says. The body has learnt to adjust to an anxious, constant state over time. It's learnt to get into that position. It's learnt to become the baseline. So it's going to take time to learn to become the non-anxious state once again. Okay, that's really important. Think of it like somebody who got diagnosed with someone had a risk of cancer, and the doctor said, "Oh, there's a risk, or maybe a test," and they thought they were going to have it, and then they didn't, and then they would still be scared. Am I okay? Checking the body, am I okay? Because afterwards, something dangerous happened in their environment, and then they're getting back to feeling, are they safe, are they okay again? So it takes a while. So that's why you're going to have that. And then people often confuse that and think, oh my God, this means I've got generalized anxiety disorder and I haven't got OCD. No, that's because you're still scared of something. It's still simmering away at the moment, usually. And that's the case. It's not always going to be intrusive thoughts. And you can have intrusive thoughts without anxiety. And that's why when you see these videos talking all about amygdala and loads of in-depth concepts of the inner workings of the brain, often hugely confusing and don't make sense. Why? Because if you're just getting intrusive, I could have, say I was scared of carrots, I could think of a carrot now and be scared of it, feeling this sensation of a carrot in my head over and over without anxiety. The amygdala wouldn't be particularly misfiring there. I'd just be having that thing because I don't want to have that. The same as when I was suffering from sensory motor. It wasn't so much of an anxious response most of the time. It was just an awareness of a sensation in my mouth or something, just going on and on and on and on. So I think that's important to be aware of, these things where we get confused about how OCD operates. You really don't want to get into watching videos on real technicalities of the brain and the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex and all this stuff. Forget it. Forget that. right? Because that's going to become highly confusing, and you do not need to know about the inner workings of the brain to recover. People often use those terms often to just sound intelligent, or to make something sound like it's much more in detail, and so that it sounds like they understand it more. But you don't need to know it. Think of the most basic books. Paul David, Claire Week's book, barely talks about the brain, talks about sensations, accepting fear. That's really a core part of the OCD recovery journey. You do not need to know about everything about the brain. You do not need to know about every medication, how it worked on the brain, and the result the person got. You don't need to know that. Especially medication, people get lost on that. They study every single med and every reaction, especially if they've got fear of side effects. Every single drug. Oh, they said anafranil was the one for OCD in 1975. Oh, then the reviews were great, but now it's changed, and now the Zoloft's more important, and so on. Oh, I've got to compare the results from that of anafranil and see what they said, and then I've got to find 20 people that have also taken both and what their reactions were, and I've also got some other symptom that somebody else said they had on a forum, so I've got to check if that counteracts with another one. And we become completely lost. So we've got to take a broad. We can't be that specific. We just got to go into the doctor, say, look, hey, I've got OCD. I want to try meds. Have you tried them before? No. I'd like to start on a low dose of The doctor's going to do all that. You go to the doctor for that, and they'll work that out. But you can't have perfection and a fixed answer to this point. You're not going to get a med written down that perfectly works for you, because there are a lot of meds, but you're going to have a rough idea of a few, and usually get there rough enough. Or you might decide that you don't want to take meds at all, and that you're going to do it without meds. Common question, Robert, did you take meds? No, I never took meds. I took meds for one day, and this is not something that I'm recommending for people, and this is not any recommendation at all. I'm talking about my own personal experience. I never took meds because I was personally kind of scared of side effects, and I also had a view that it was going to control me or be a different person. Now, to most people, I say, if they're really struggling, I say speak to your doctor, talk about meds, because it helps take the edge off, right? But I didn't take meds, okay? That's just me, right? Doesn't make me stronger, there's no judgment on it at all. But what happened is I took meds for one day. At the time, I had a really bad chronic headache. I went to the doctor, I said, look, I need to take some meds. He was like, you should try, what was it? What did I try? What's it called? One second. Let me think here. Leave you in an uncomfortable silence. Good exposure. People don't tend to like uncomfortable silences with OCD, judgment and so on. I don't mind them. I sometimes leave them in for fun, just to annoy people as an exposure. Let me think. What was it called? I can't remember. I've completely forgotten now. It was... no, I can't remember. So I took meds for one day. And as soon as I get off this video, I'm going to remember it in 1 second. I took meds for one day, amitriptyline, that was it. I took amitriptyline for one day, and it's supposed to be taken at night because it can make you drowsy. I took it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I was driving a motorbike at the time. I nearly crashed because I felt so drowsy. I got straight home. I literally stood in the kitchen, picked up this bottle, and I went, I'm never fucking taking this again after that just happened. And I literally threw them across the room, right? That is an example of somebody who didn't take meds correctly and had the wrong view of meds. Okay, let's be realistic. Probably a large number of OCD sufferers take meds, helps take the edge off, and has been a game changer for them, right? Some people hasn't, and so they've come off. Some people have altered, tried a few different meds, and then felt better. But realistically, meds, if taken correctly, tend to help take the edge off, okay? Doesn't mean recovery, but tends to help take the edge off. How I did it is not how to do it. So that was my story with medication. So never, I'd had different experiences with other medications not related to mental health in the past that given me sort of a bad view of meds, like being allergic to penicillin, having a bad reaction, and then like getting worried about having another bad reaction. And then my penicillin reaction wasn't even that bad long term. I could take it again. Now they said it's just because I got a kind of hives on the body that wasn't that bad. They said can happen now and again, but so I never took penicillin again. I try and avoid it now, but they say that I probably could take it in emergency. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But like, yeah, so I just sort of built up this view of being anti-medication, doing things naturally. I had a lot of problems when I had health OCD and I was younger with, oh my God, what if I had OD'd? What if I'd had a bad reaction to different meds and getting an ambulance or going to the hospital, because I was very scared of that all the time. So yeah, kind of a lot of avoiding going on at that time. Now I do things in life in terms of not mental health. I've no chronic anxiety, no chronic guilt, no OCD, suffering. But in life, I tend to do things reasonably naturally, healthily. You know, I'm pretty like that. Not healthy. I mean, I just had a hamburger and chips. I'm living life. I'm not keeping to a rigid diet. I live on a philosophy of we're not going to live forever, so you might as well enjoy life. So I eat a mixture of healthy, unhealthy, everything. And in relation to, medication, I try and avoid, if the doctor says, oh, you need this for some injury or something, I try and do it only if really necessary, because I prefer to sort of do things naturally and leave the body to it. I've been pretty good. I haven't had any health problems. I had COVID about a month ago. It wasn't great, actually, for a week. I was pretty bad, but not like Nick, who was on oxygen in the hospital last year. But then he was back up climbing a mountain in about 2 weeks. Definitely not saying that I would recommend, but he was like that. As any of you have followed him and seen the kind of personality he is, it would make sense if you know him. And I certainly do know him and work with him every day. So I remember the moment when I told him, I really wouldn't suggest going up a mountain at the moment. Nick, you've just recovered from COVID. You've just been in hospital. Oh, I'm feeling fine. Off I go. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I don't suggest and I really don't recommend. But each person to their own, how they want to live life. And so that's my approach with most things, sort of healthy balance of things. Sleep, exercise, these kinds of things. And with OCD, it's like you don't want to be hard on yourself when it comes to taking medication. If you're really struggling, speak to the doctor. If I was struggling again today and I had someone like what I'm saying to me, this information now that I'm saying to you, someone was saying it to me, I would think right now, listen, take meds, stop worrying about all the side effects. Most people are fine, give it a go. And I'd have been a lot better off. Put myself through a lot of pain that I didn't need to. And there's no judgment on that. We live in a time where there's a lot less judgment than there was when I was struggling. I'm nearly 37 now. It's a different time. And there's people who are watching this now who are 30 years older than me and will say it was a completely different time then, obviously so. And then any generations before that, it doesn't even bear thinking about with OCD because there was barely anything. You know, SSRIs, even benzos, for example, haven't even been around that long. So before those periods, people were really self-medicating on all kinds of things. So I think that's important to realise that on this journey, you've got to go along gradually and you've got to take it one day at a time. And this video, I could carry on for hours and hours, and I will carry it on for hours and hours, but in different segments over the next couple of weeks, because I think these kind of ramblings on OCD probably interesting for you guys to hear all different things as I sort of bounce from topic to topic. So I think it's probably a good way to do it and see how that goes. So we'll give it a go until someone complains in the comments and says, Rob, what the fuck was that? You need to be a bit more organised, do a specific topic, and then I'll change it. So when that gets said, or I'll probably ignore it because if it's negative comments like that, I probably won't respond. But I think with your journey, you've got to take it one day at a time. You've got to think to yourself, look, I'm not going to fix this overnight. I'm not going to get this all done overnight. If you get it done overnight, we would have done it overnight. We all want that. I used to think every day, today is the day where it's all going to be gone, fixed and done. I used to think that for years. I used to wake up every morning thinking that. I used to think today is the morning. This is the morning I'm going to do it. Let's get it done before breakfast. Or let's get it done before this night out. I've got a date. I've got to get it done before that. That's not going to work. How did that? That never happened. But I thought like that. I used to wake up every day thinking that. Just get all your mind right, think through everything, go through the past, and get everything ready right now, this morning, and done before 10 o'clock. Definitely did not work. I can assure you, if that had worked, I wouldn't be running this account now. I wouldn't be running this because I would have fixed myself and been telling people just wake up and go through a few things in your head and you'd be all set and done. So it's a journey and it's a gradual phasing, and I think of it like layers on an onion, coming off little by little with different light bulb moments as you go. You can't force a light bulb moment. They're gradual shifts and changes of perception. I think that covers most of the things I wanted to cover today, but I will be back on here carrying this on and covering much more topics. Maybe if this evening I'm feeling like carrying this on more, I'll get started on the next sections of this video tonight, and we'll see, and we'll go from there. But hopefully you found that helpful in the different areas, and I'll cover all the different questions that you guys send in and DMs. I'll cover those too. So yeah, you can get more of an understanding about OCD, hopefully. All right, guys, I will see you later. Take it easy. See you later.